Pioneer Knowledge Services welcomes you to the next Because You Need to Know. I'm your host, Edwin K. Morris. I serve as president and founder of this organization, and we are thrilled to offer this educational program. These design conversations bring you people's experiences from all over the globe in the field of knowledge management, nonprofit work, and innovation. There is an old adage, one that you might have heard from a grandparent or village wise person, the one that says, you get out what you put in, meaning your efforts are matched to some degree by the results or the output. Now take our nonprofit, Pioneer Knowledge Services, who delivers this cool program that you're listening to right now, takes a bunch of effort that you don't even see. We hope that you obtain value from our efforts to deliver it to your powers of reason. Here is where you come in. You, the listeners. Make our efforts rewarded. Consider donating to keep us moving forward. Visit pioneer-ks.org and click on donate.
Hi, my name is Lawrence Armstrong. I live in San Clemente, California. I absolutely love working in the design industry for commercial real estate. Right now, I serve as chairman at design firm Ware Malcolm, headquartered here in Irvine, California. Let's see, the last book I read was The Formula by Joshua Robinson and Jonathan Clegg. It's all about the history of Formula One, which I love. I just wrote Layered Leadership. It's my new book, and it's all about creativity and leadership. I've worked in the design industry for over 40 years. My greatest mentor was my father, my mentor and my idol, and he was awesome.
Hold on. Do you want to give him a name? Do you want to put his name out?
Sure. Robert F. Armstrong was my father, and he was awesome and a big influence on me. Thanks. I love to create, ski, golf, travel, fly, fish, create art, build my business. I'm inspired when I am traveling or creating. I stay connected to people by proactively reaching out. I create value by inspiring positive thinking. The absolute best advice I received was from my father to not sweat it so much all the time.
Sounds like Dad was pretty cool. Was your dad from Ohio or no?
So, he was from Ohio, and I was raised in Ohio before we moved to California.
Lawrence, it's a blast to have you here because we've got a little bit of history that crossed paths incidentally at Kent State University. What exactly were you doing at Kent State, and how did you get to where you are now?
First of all, thanks for having me on, Edwin. It's awesome, and I appreciate that. Yeah, I grew up in Northeast Ohio. I was lucky enough to attend Kent State University to their architecture program, which was an amazing time there.
As an architect, you already had a foundation of being a visual creator?
Definitely. Yeah, I've been an artist my whole life as well. Architecture was just an amazing find, I think, for me. When I was young, I decided to go to architecture school and learn everything that I could about architecture. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is extremely visual, definitely.
I think a lot of people don't really realize the thinking that goes into erecting anything vertically, or a building, that combines so many different elements and so many different perspectives, let alone the materials.
Yeah, exactly. Architecture is sort of the ultimate whole brain profession. You have to be very creative, you have to be technical, you have to understand engineering and design, and you have to have people skills to work with people on teams and understand building codes, and it's a whole ball of wax that you have to.
It is something. Yeah, no kidding. And that's a lifelong learning journey, right? I mean, it's like you don't stop. You didn't just get the certificate and say, boom, I'm done.
No, you are always learning. There's always something new, and there's always something to learn in design, for sure.
Well, let's go into the book and talk about this creative leadership and whole brain leadership, or being that. Can you talk to the listener a little bit and set the stage of what your perceptions were when you built that concept or created those wordings that put that pen to paper for you?
Yeah. First of all, the development, whole brain, right brain, left brain, like I said, is very much rooted in architecture. It's one of those things that when you are an architect, and like any profession, you are trained, maybe you do a good job, maybe you get promoted, all of a sudden you're leading and managing people, which is not what you went to school for, right? So you have to learn how to do that. Over time, as I stumbled and made mistakes, tried to understand how to lead and to build something, I sort of stumbled upon this idea that, well, I should put the way I think and the way I've learned to practice, not only in architecture, but to leadership, and sort of bringing creativity and technical skill to leadership, continuous learning, put that all together for sort of this whole brain creative leadership idea.
Well, I hear the mechanics. I hear the pieces of the puzzle that you're talking about. But the thing I don't hear, and I think that's the kind of the missing link for me, is that I don't hear maturity anywhere in that. Because having those parts and pieces is one thing. Understanding parts and pieces is one thing. Wisdom making, understanding, comprehension, I guess is the big word about all this. You have to comprehend a lot of different things and be able to adapt to different levels all the time.
Yeah, that's for sure. And, that's, I guess, part of the continuous learning, because with anything new that you're trying to learn and trying to be proficient at, you're going to make a lot of mistakes. And so I guess there's a certain amount of wisdom that comes with time from learning and then applying that learning to what you're going to do next.
Well, answer me this. Do you think everybody can be a leader?
I think they can. Yes, I do. I actually do think anybody can be a leader if they want to do that. That's a distinction a little bit.
So motivation. They got to have motivation.
Yeah, it's got to be something you want to do. Yeah.
I guess that's the thing. Like, could you be a virtuoso in an opera, or could you be something that's highly skilled? Well, yeah, I guess everybody could. They have some baseline capabilities. Some are better than others. But motivation is the thing that really pushes someone to go beyond.
Yeah, I mean, ambition is important if you are building something. It's sort of inherent. If you want to be a leader and you want to build something, there's a certain amount of ambition that needs to be present to be able to do that, or even so that you would want to do that.
In your experience, what's your motivation?
My motivation, well, I'll tell you what my motivation was that originally inspired me. I was given the opportunity to, first of all, work in a great company, but then I was given opportunities for leadership and ultimately to buy my company and take it over and run it. And it was an amazing opportunity that I was given at a pretty young age. From that, I was inspired to say, look, we can build this company into something awesome by giving as many people opportunities to grow in their career and help the company, just as I was given.
Okay.
The idea that I was given opportunities by our founders, Bill Ware and Bill Malcolm, inspired really a lot of what happened after that.
Let's just say that your wisdom building, my assumption, your wisdom building from schoolhouse to practice to business builder, a leader, took certain steps. And do you think that the text that you're talking about, the layered leadership, is that the how-to? Is this going to be a model for others to, did you shortcut and make a checklist of how to get there?
No, it's not really a checklist. No, I wouldn't try to do that. But I put in the book different inspirations that I had that I took from various sources and found a way to adapt to our strategy and our company to motivate our people. And so over time, it developed kind of a little at a time. And over time, I sort of synthesized all those together to end up with what we ended up with.
Well, let's go with the model that you created. The listener, just think of Tinker Toys. If you're of the age to know what that is, that's what we're talking about. But he's created a visual model to help gather and gain deeper understanding. So please, Lawrence.
Oh, thanks. Well, I've used various tools and metaphors and inputs from business books and people that I was inspired by. And so this idea of whole brain development and thought and leadership, I used a tool with Tinker Toys where we took one of the spokes and we challenged all of our leaders to think of what you're really good at. What's your best skill? And take one of the longer Tinker Toys and stick it into the hub. And then think of something you're not very good at that maybe you want to improve on and find the shortest one and stick it in, and then fill the whole circle in with various lengths of Tinker Toys. You will find, like everyone, you have kind of an unbalanced looking wheel almost. Spokes coming out from a hub. The second exercise is to then take only long ones, Tinker Toys, and stick them in and make, sort of your perfect spoke and wheel. Understanding where you are now and what you could ultimately work towards and filling out your brain. And so this sort of idea illustrates and helps you focus on what you want to get better at, I guess.
I would say that probably changes week to week because your perception of how you think you're doing shifts.
Yeah, it's a state of mind.
Right? It's
an exercise to take on a state of mind of continuous learning and always improving. It's a demonstration, and once we made these things, we kind of sat them on our desks. They're there to look at, and they probably shift from week to week.
With that parameters of how you outlined the structure of this, I want everybody to think of it. It's kind of a self-awareness take because you're doing a self-assessment. Mm-hmm. You're creating something external to help understand that relationship. And I think that's where people may lose some traction. They get horned in on one thing or they get down a rabbit hole in another, and they lose perspective of all the other components. And does that not give that motivation to address the short stick, the lacking part?
Yeah, and I think it's all dependent on the person and how inspired or committed you are to this idea. But for me, it was a way to demonstrate what I learned from Leonardo da Vinci, which was always developing your whole brain. He was the ultimate whole brain thinker, the most curious person, greatest genius that we've ever seen. And he was always trying to fill out areas that he was not as good at or strong at or as knowledgeable about. And so he set a great example. And then this Tinker Toy is kind of just a tool to help you think about that.
And I'll say in most human behavior, you ignore the things you're not great at. You don't spend time on them to try to get better. I think a lot of people just go with what they're good at or what they can do really well. And the small things that are distractors or they're not skilled in don't get the presence of mind to think, I should probably work on that. So what makes the difference between an inspirational leader in inspiring others to think like that?
First of all, we always want to acknowledge people's strengths. I mean, people naturally feel comfortable working towards their strengths and want to build those, and there's nothing wrong with that, and that's great. I just feel like to be a leader and an effective leader and a creative leader, it's helpful to build out these ideas, these strengths that you're not as good at. And because it makes you a more well-rounded leader, it makes you more relatable to people that have different strengths than you do. It just sort of inspires this continuous learning throughout your life, which can only help you.
So I want to talk about how you create a culture that cares, and these are my words, a work culture that cares about itself and cares about others in a fostering, nurturing way. I would say you're a outlier in that model. I don't know. I've not studied all the businesses, but in my experience, that doesn't exist. That's a rare diamond, if you will. What makes that doable for someone listening to this right now? They got a little heat going for them. The blood's going a little bit, and they're like, wow, I really need to find out about this. I'd like to try it where I work. What advice would you give them?
The culture is everything, really. So for us, we have, as we built our company, we have offices scattered across North America now. And so we have a lot of awesome people working in different places. It takes a lot of focus and hard work to keep sort of this one team attitude across the platform. And we've done that over time in various ways. The first and foremost is, working with our people to understand what their ambitions for their career is and helping them in any way we can as a company to reach those goals. The other thing is just sort of this one team attitude. Everything we do as a company is to help each other be successful. And by working together, we will provide the best service to our clients and most successful projects. There's a lot of things we put in place over the years to emphasize that team culture and this idea of growth and support. Everything from we fly everybody in every year for our annual holiday party. we're all together. We have business review meetings with every office every other month.
I want to bring up one that we talked about earlier, which is the Leadership Academy.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about the Leadership Academy?
Yes. And, this Leadership Academy idea was inspired by Jack Welch. He built a tremendous Leadership Academy at GE. And so we tried to apply this to our company. And so we have an extensive mentoring and coaching program at our company, but also leadership meetings 3 times a year where we bring everybody in, and it's more of a conference, a leadership conference. We work together on the strategy for the company, developing different skill sets, helping each other. So it's all a sort of a work together kind of an environment where we also align so that we're all headed the same direction with the same mission, and we understand what's going on in the industry. There's all sorts of things we have put in place over time to emphasize this idea of a leadership academy.
Yeah.
Because we, as a company, as we grow, we need leaders.
Yeah.
Our culture is specific, so we have to train up our leaders in our culture so that it works for our company. It's pretty specific, and we've developed it over a period of years.
Everything you've just outlined gives me the environmental oxygen of the word trust. Everything you're talking about builds and enables contact, relationship, and trust relationship that I think is a key element. It's really a key element to success.
Yeah, I think trust obviously is important to any relationship or anything you do, really. Empowerment is a big word that we use that you've heard, and we live by it at Aware Malcolm. We really want to empower our people so that they can grow in their careers. Delegation and empowerment is a big deal. We spend a lot of time with our leaders on, so that they are likewise inspiring their teammates.
In my experience with the United States Army, leadership has its own set of, standards, expectations. It has its own set of expectations. As you go up in rank, you have more authority and more responsibility, but you also have a wider berth. You have a wider array of being in your decision zone. You can make decisions at certain ranks or elevations that you couldn't at lower elevations. So with rank, a bigger piece of the pie. Within that, though, you think of an authoritarian structure like the U.S. Army, where it's very regimented and very much for a good reason. But in an organization that lets people experience the workplace and have some liberty or have some availability of being more involved in a bit of a free agent, is that something that is... Okay, I see your head shaking. Go ahead and tell me about that.
And so our people work on projects, right? Real estate projects, design and development of buildings and space. And so by nature, our teams have to make decisions every day, all day. And it's a very collaborative environment to be able to do this. And so we try to inspire the same attitudes when it comes to leadership, building your team, and working together. We're lucky in that way that we've taken sort of what the strengths of our business is, extend that to this idea of empowerment and leadership.
Can you define for me what leadership is?
What
it is for you. Yeah, what it is for you.
Yeah, for me, it's inspiring a team to do awesome work over a long period of time.
Are you more the carrot or the stick?
Very much a carrot, I think. I think.
He's scratching his head, ladies and gentlemen.
I hope.
He's like, most days, yeah.
Yeah. Now, listen, none of us is perfect, so I'm sure the stick has to come out every once in a while. Like I'll give you a good example of that.
Okay.
Because our culture is important to us, and everyone knows it. And so, if we see behavior that doesn't fit the culture, then we have to work on that.
Ignoring it makes it worse.
Definitely.
So I went through your text, your layered leadership book. I searched the word leadership. How many times do you think it's in there?
I have no idea, but I'm sure it's in there a lot.
199.
Okay, awesome.
That's very well strength term here. So the way I'm saying that is because I want you to tell me, who is this book for?
Okay, so it is for anyone who is trying to build an organization. It could be a new leader who's just learning leadership. It could be somebody that's just running a nonprofit or a small business or a branch or a department in a company or really any organization, because I think the concepts are crossing all of those types of instances.
And from my review, I did not read it, ladies and gentlemen, but from my review of the text in PDF format, I find two things intriguing. One, Lawrence has got a smattering different pieces of artwork I presume you are the creator of.
Yes.
It is, I wouldn't say it's textbook format. It's not academic format. It kind of reads, from what I'm seeing, it kind of reads like you're talking to me.
Yeah, that was the intention. I put my art in it because I'm an artist and I love it. And, but it also helps to emphasize the point I'm trying to make, which is to be creative. Not everyone's an artist, but I make a big point in the book. It's like, look, I believe everybody can be and is creative. Part of the book challenges you to open up your mind about creativity and, all the different examples of the input, different types of input that are in the book are an example of, I drew inspiration from such a variety of sources that we were able to sort of, like I said, synthesize. And I think the art is sort of emblematic of that, and the idea that say things like being an artist made me a better CEO and being a CEO made me a better artist. And art doesn't have any boundaries, really. You can do whatever you want. So it's sort of the ultimate creative pursuit.
It's free flow.
I'm trying to bring that idea into this idea of leadership.
Let me read the dedication from this book on page 3. This book is dedicated to all the people who have helped and inspired me, and all the people I hope to help and inspire. That's a pretty cool concept right there, my friend. Are you a sage? Are you a practicing sage? Or
I don't know about that. But what I am is grateful for all the inspirations I've had in my life. This book is hopefully going to help inspire some other people. And that's the idea.
Living inspired is a positive stroke. I like it very much. So before we walk out the door and go have a cup of coffee, what is your definition of knowledge management?
Knowledge management. Wow. Well, I'm not sure I use that term so much, but what I like to do is figure out how, and this is a big part of the whole thing, how do you take this collective knowledge and wisdom and information and effectively pass it through your organization so that your company can be on the same page and always learning all the time? That's kind of a big concept and kind of a tall order. But it is one we work really hard at because we want to have our people all be aligned and feel great and feel like they're growing and be on the same page.
I would have to assume with that approach, you're going to have a pretty high retention rate.
Yeah, we've had a lot of people that have been with us, built their careers with us, and have been with us a long time. Not everybody, as we've grown, and people, like any company, come and go a little bit, but everyone is added to the ultimate idea of what we've become. But we have had a lot of people with us for a long time, for sure.
I like the idea of what you put together. I think having an established ethos of cohesiveness and knowledge sharing as a baseline is a big plus for me. So kudos to you, and thanks for being on the show. I think a lot of folks are probably going to dig into this because leadership is a challenge. I think most organizations don't foster growth in leadership as they probably should. They don't look at it as a resource option. It seems to be a cost thing for them. Oh, we got to send somebody to class. Oh, we got to send, do you? Do you really? No, you don't really. You can create something like you did.
Yeah, it's an investment, and there's no better investment for sure.
Oh, all right. You said the magic word. So you're sitting with your CFO, and he's like, oh, boy, you got all these great big ideas, all this great big stuff, huh? What's the ROI on that?
Yeah. A scoreboard, just look at the last 20 years of Where Malcolm, and it's fairly obvious. So obviously, if you're just starting out, there's a little bit of faith that you have to try these things. But for us, which, we're a service business, your biggest asset is your people, and you want them to be awesome and love where they are.
Fantastic. Any last words of wisdom that you would like to impart, maybe from Dad?
Oh, gosh.
I'm sure he's got a few one-liners you're well accustomed to.
Yeah, he did. Unfortunately, he's not here with us anymore, but he inspired me a lot every day. I said earlier, he said to me a lot, don't sweat it, because I was kind of a hyped up, tense kid when I was growing up. And so he calmed me down a lot, but he had a lot of faith in me, which it was very inspiring, and tried to pass that along.
All right, my friend. Well, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome. Really appreciate it.
I like the attitude. Keep it up. Thank you for joining this extraordinary journey, and we hope the experiences gained add value to you and yours. See you next time at Because You Need to Know. If you'd like to contact us, please email byntk@pioneer-ks.org or find us on LinkedIn.